All right, welcome. This is the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo. I'm Brother Washington Muhammad, and right now we're working with our sound. So if you bear with us for a quick second, we're going to adjust some technical difficulties. So stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Hey, we are back. This is the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo. I'm Brother Washington Muhammad, he, him. I'm one of the co-founders, along with Mike Leonardi and Jabril Bay of CSRN. You'll hear about it in our mission statement 7 years ago. A group of us, some I've mentioned, and a few others we haven't. And I really want to talk about some of the people who were behind the scenes: Kamasi Kush, Ebony Burke, Nobody, that's the rapper's name, no, and a couple other people that were behind the scenes, really getting this vibe together on speaking truth to power, not being religious with it, not being political with it. And when I say political, that means being a part of that Democratic Party structure that a lot of us belong to. And we said, look, can't happen. It did. We had our first program, then our first protest. Then that's where I met Jody. We interrupted the MLK celebration at Savage Hall to the chagrin of so many in Toledo. We backed that up, Jody, with Black Lives Matter Day.
Yep.
All right. And we backed that up with a mayoral forum, and we backed that up with Black Lives Matter awards, and we keep backing it up and backing it up. So it's awesome for you to be here today. I have on my sports shirt. I've got some lavender or purple flowers on the inside of the collar. I just wanted to roll like that today. Medium brown skin. I'm wearing glasses. Short hair. And as always, I'm dedicated to respecting and protecting all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. And it's awesome to be here today, especially in a time where so many people are standing up for justice. So many are standing up for freedom. They're standing up for equality. And the freedom fighters, Jody, that are standing up now are not the suit wearing freedom fighters of the past. And I'm with that. And it, like I said, it's awesome to be here. This is the home of Black Lives Matter, Justice or Else, Community Solidarity Response Network, unbossed, unbought. We pay our own way, so we stay our own way. Yeah, I just made that up. All right. We're not going to get into rapping right now, but I think that I've covered our mission statement. I think I've covered my introduction, pronouns, and who I am. Jody, you want to take it from here?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Jody J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth. My pronouns are him, he, and we. I'm a cinnamon tone, brown skinned big bear of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and non-descriptive clothing. Today's shirt is Urban Holistics. Sonya, I'll be seeing you this weekend, and also Eden Garden, because I can't just be on here wearing stuff or talking about stuff and posting stuff and not actually helping my community grow. So, stay involved in everything. My shirt is just, a brown shirt that carries all my little extras and stuff like that. I wear these shirts specifically because I have stuff in my front pockets that most people never, ever get to see. But
hopefully,
yeah, they might have to get some things out of me. Anyway, but yeah, so that is essentially me. I don't wear descriptive clothing, but as Brother
what do you do at CSRN? Look, we see you on. If you follow Jody Summers online, you might see him everywhere. So some people might say, well, we saw you here, we saw you there. what are you doing with these guys with the Black Lives Matter signs and billboards and stuff? What do you do at CSRN?
So I am the treasurer. I am essentially our accountability. And as I said before in my description, I don't care about money. I don't wear non-descriptive things. I don't drive. It's a big one that people still fathom to not understand. I don't drive. I don't need to drive. I travel all around the place. I prefer to use my thumb or carpool. And I don't have the funds. I've become very successful over the past few years, but because I don't like money, I just use it as a tool. That's why I'm good at the treasurer position, because I can't be swayed by somebody saying, hey, I'll be giving you this amount of money to say this. It don't work with me. You can't offer, I've had stuff come through our bank accounts that I've declined, and watch me not like it, but I've had stuff come through our accounts that I've declined because I did not like the person that was sending. That's a very big thing in organizations. Once you start accepting money or funds from things that you don't need to, they come with problems. So that's what I take care of.
And I'll add, look, there's some things in organizing that we macro manage. That's when we all meet as a group. If it's myself, Jody, and others, we meet as a and handle some things. Then there's some things that we can micromanage ourselves. So when having someone like Jody with us does add a level of integrity to what we do. Yes, we do ask for assistance for some things, but those things only. And we don't want to get caught up with someone saying, hey, look, can you guys send this or that? I mean, take this or take that. And then you guys are going to be beholden to represent something, Jody, that we never intended to represent from the jump.
Exactly. I don't need all the events that you've seen us organize and host or sponsor over the last few years. We don't have a huge dowry. When we call out for assistance, that money that is gained or whatever, it's gone. There's no, we got 20, 30, 50,000. No, because why would we need it? If we're here to help the community, yeah, it's going to be difficult to raise it later on, but I'd rather raise it and use it than have it sitting somewhere to tempt somebody or have somebody try me.
Which ain't, which, look, listen,
to try
which
and get
ain't,
at that.
right,
So,
which ain't happening.
Yeah.
We don't play that. That's not happening.
I can say I'm weird. I've talked to a lot of people. I still work a job, even though I have 4 book series, artwork in museums. I'm literally performing every weekend since I took 3 months off. All the people that are beginning now to get back on stage, I never did. I didn't have an opportunity to because I'm a poet. I'm a writer. I make the lyrics that most people live their life to. It's not me being mean or it's literally people come up to me and tell me this. I don't know how to react to it because I don't see it as that. I'm giving love to the world for when I'm gone, building the foundations that I won't live to see.
All right, now speaking of foundations.
Anyway.
Yeah, right. You know, everybody. That's right.
So, again, if you've been watching our podcast for almost a year and a half now versus coming to our meetings that we were doing previously, I thank you. I love you. To our supporters right now, people that's watching, what's up, Mike? What's up, Jimmy? And whoever else might be watching, I know there's a delay on this, but we love y'all. If y'all need anything for us, comment, leave reviews, share stuff to the page. I try and share as much what's going on in the community as I can, but we try and give a helping hand down, not just constantly lift people up. So this is our mission statement. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed November 25th, 2014, the day after it was announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring an awareness to the fact that most often police brutality goes without consequence or accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive, community based events that help foster self development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter. Black lives, yes, Black lives must matter. And justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I see we got somebody in the green room.
Right, and right after the break, we're going to be talking about Hoodstock.
Yep.
2021. And it's awesome that we have, I think, the executive director in the green room right now. So, Devon, if there's, I think we got some.
I got one bag of Cheetos in there.
There's a bag of Cheetos. There's a half a can. All right, I got the other half, so don't drink it all. So we're going to get into Hoodstock right after our break. But what we're going to do right now, Jody, we're going to read our guiding principles. These are the things that have kept CSRN from imploding from within for the last 7 years. CSRN guiding principles. All Black lives matter. Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men and women lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children lives. All Black lives matter and are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe?
Ashe.
And Ashe means one who changes a thing or one who makes a thing happen. Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we're currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist. Think beyond the possible. Ashe?
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation is built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics, and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe?
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be a part of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe?
Ashe.
Principal struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct, loving communication. Ashe?
Ashe.
Love, self-love is practiced in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be a driver of our work and an indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe?
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor past struggles and wisdom from elders. The work we do today builds the foundations of movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe?
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Ashe?
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling their stories directly. Ashe?
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe?
Ashe.
Hey, Jody, before we even break, what we're going to do, we're going to put our scroller down the bottom for anybody that wants to assist us in keeping CSRN moving forward. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with Devon.
Yep.
All right? From Hoodstock, right, 2021. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
All right. Hey, I caught him while he was sitting down. All right. This is the CSRN Video Minute. We are going to add to the stream if we can. All right. Brother Devon Fagan from the Hoodstock 2021. Is it the executive director? Do we call him chairman? Do I call him to cut my check for this week? All right. How you doing, brother?
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Hey, we're fine. We're fine. Hey, listen, brother. Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to be with us today at our CSRN Video Minutes. It's a live podcast where we talk about some of the things that we've done the previous week, the things that we're doing right now, which is having you on, all right? And some of the things that we're going to be doing in the future, which is promoting Hoodstock 2021. We promoted the brunch that we had last week. And man, look, we want to make this big. Hoodstock 2021 is going to be an institution in our city. And the beautiful thing about that is that it's community driven. It's not agency driven. As I look at when I look at the flyer or when I look at the event, it doesn't say brought to you by ProMedica.
Pro Mafia.
Okay, I didn't say Pro Mafia, just in case ProMedica is listening to me. All right. It doesn't say brought to you by the United Way. All right. It's a community-led thing.
It doesn't say brought to you by Democrats or Republicans.
Right. It doesn't say any of that, which makes me vibe with Hoodstock so much. Been a fan from its inception. And I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, Jody, if you could just introduce yourself, who you are, what is Hoodstock, and why should people care?
My name is Devon Fagan. I'm the founder of the Hoodstock Foundation. Hoodstock is an event that started back in 1997 by a gentleman named Heston Bass. He's the creator of it. The concept comes from what Rick Ross implies and those guys talking about now buying back the block and buying and having ownership in your community. That's where the concept comes from. Hoodstock, buying stock in the hood, owning your own properties, owning black businesses, black grocery stores, showing these kids that they don't have to be workers all their life, that they can be owners. They don't have to be out in the field, picking for massa, so to speak. That's where the term comes from. The original Hoodstock again was in 1997. The gentleman who created it just chose to forget that, and he moved out of town. In 2002, when I came home from prison, I reached out to him and asked for his blessing to do the event. He gave me his blessing. I did it from 2002 to 2005. Unfortunately, it was shut down. It came back in 2017 and 2019. COVID hit, and now we at 2021, about to do it again. Hoodstock as a foundation, we are advocates for change, peace, economic growth, and youth empowerment. That's our motto, and that's what we try to instill in the community and in the children. The actual event, we do free haircuts, free hair braiding. We give away back to school supplies. In 2019, we gave away 600 book bags with back to school supplies.
Wow.
We're in the process of this year trying to get uniforms and different things that help the kids go back to school and feel good about themselves going back to school. Myself personally, the first time I ever skipped school was because I got talked about so bad about my shoes. Anybody who knows me knows that, like, I got over 600 pair of shoes right now. Like, I'm a collector. And it started then. I was talked about so bad. I just didn't want to go to school and be laughed at or talked about because of my appearance. So what we try to do is help these kids have a better appearance. Make sure they're going back to school fresh. Make sure they got, even if we can take the school supplies off of mom and dad, maybe they can afford to get you some better shoes, and so on and so forth. We do what we can to come up with as many uniforms as we can for needy kids and so on and so forth. So you can feel good about yourself going back to school and learning and getting your education, because without an education, it's hard to make it in today's society.
Well, I remember back in 1997, I think maybe, if I'm not mistaken, the first hood stop was at the corners between Tecumseh and Hamilton,
Yeah.
and between Detroit and Brown. That park right there.
Yeah.
And I was amazed of the talent that came out, to perform. And now I see that, in a way, you've elevated it to talk about economic empowerment. Now, as you see, Jody and myself, we're very much into speaking truth to power, but I also realize that if we don't have economic power, then everything that we're doing is really for naught. How did you come up with the idea of connecting economic empowerment to an event like that?
I mean, that's what the term derives from: hood stock, buying stock in the hood. That is economic empowerment. And that's, they coincide, they go hand in hand with each other, so to speak.
All right. Now, when and where, for everybody that's watching, and thank you for sharing this time with us. When and where and how can people
donate?
Yeah, how can people donate and support to Hoodstock?
It's going to be at City Park on August 8th. That's a Sunday, from 11 to 8. There will be plenty of security. I know with recent events that happened in the city, a lot of people are concerned about coming out and whatnot. We're going to have plenty of security. This is not just we just everybody gather in the park and there's no structure. And I'm going to be working with the city of Toledo because they are in partnership with the Hoodstock Foundation to make this event happen. If a person wants to donate, they could just go up to Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union, tell them you want to donate to the Hoodstock Foundation. Cash, write them out a check, whatever the case may be. They'll take the donations there. You can reach out to Jody. He's a member of my board. Different members of the board can direct you in the right directions, things of that nature. But make all checks or money should be payable to the Hoodstock Foundation.
Yes, sir. Now, speaking on donations, because if you're watching this, this is the way that we stay independent, by coming up with our own programs and paying our own way. Are there different levels? Is there a silver level? Is there a platinum level donation? Is there a level of donation where people can feel as if they actually had a part in this?
Yes, there are different levels of donations. I think they range from $250 all the way up to $6,500. The city of Toledo, I believe, just sponsored us for $6,500 for this event. But they range from $250 to all the way up until $6,500. I don't have the actual names of each package with me, but again, they range from $250 all the way up to $6,500. But a donation is a donation. We're not putting a limit on that. If you want to donate $1,
Yes, sir.
Because again, the oatmeal beat no meal. I'm not trying to say, oh, you got to get $250 or nothing like that. If a person was to donate $2, $1, anything a person wants to donate, we accept. On the premise that that's just another piece, another brick on the wall, and it takes a whole lot of pieces to build that brick. Like we want a lot of security for this event, and that's costly. Um, your dollar might have went towards a pack of pencils. You know how many papers a kid can write with a pack of pencils, but your 250 might have went to this armed guard over here. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot to this, and a lot of people they don't understand how costly events like this can be when you're giving out 600 book bags with back to school supplies. And in 2019, that wasn't enough. I felt so bad that it was kids still standing there who had been in line all day, who had been out there all day waiting for those book bags and couldn't get one. 600 wasn't even enough. And so again, it's like I say, we accept whatever anybody has to give and offer. And we're real transparent. Again, this is a nonprofit. Our books are open to anybody who donates to us, whether you donate $1 or $1,000 or $6,000. Our books are open to you to see where your money went to and how you help the community. We're not an organization that has anything to hide, because we're really trying to make a difference in our community.
Man, all right. Well, Jody, I'm going to offer a challenge for everyone that sees this podcast. And Jody, correct me once we get off camera. But we want to see this. We want to see this explode.
We will see this explode.
And anybody?
Well, not that type of explode.
Okay, well, right. We'll talk about that on the next segment.
Oh,
but
man.
I'm issuing a $100 challenge. For everyone that loves what CSRN does. We're going to put another 100 in. We're going to put another 100 in.
I'll match that.
And I'm going to challenge everyone that has fought for Black Lives Matter, everyone that has said no justice, no peace, everyone that shouted and held up a sign. Now you can get into the real work of revitalizing our communities, to make our communities a safe and decent place to live. So now we're talking about developing our young people, economic justice, economic development. I'm in for 100. So if anybody else is watching this challenge, don't send it to CSRN. Go to the Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union. All right. Find Jody. He's everywhere. All right. If you just look around, he's probably walking by your house right now, because this is time delayed a couple seconds. So if you're watching this, donate to Hoodstock 2021 at the Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union. Inbox the executive director. Inbox Jody. I'm putting 100 in. All right.
Check out our page, the Hoodstock Foundation. I'm sure we'll have up there, because you can also drop off book bags. We got some locations coming up where people can drop off things.
Those locations will be posted on the social media as of tomorrow. All flyers, our whole promotional campaign will start Friday, if I'm correct.
All right. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break.
You're
Devon,
welcome to hang out if you want to add something later on. And I know you might have something to do around this time, but if you want to hang out, you're welcome.
I got about 20 more minutes for you guys. I had it all scheduled and on my calendar, and Jody, you made me say like you're gonna be there, and I said I'm gonna be here. So y'all got me for another 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
all right, so we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the community issues that we've had over the 4th. So stay tuned. This is CSRN Video Minutes. our weekly podcast. We'll be right back.
Did you know addiction is a disease, not a moral dilemma? The opioid epidemic and substance use have a major impact on communities of color and many people's lives. Wasion Wellness Recovery Support Center offers culturally relevant inpatient and outpatient behavioral health treatment and recovery support services to any Ohioan struggling with addiction, mental health, or finding sober, safe housing. We must recognize that treatment is available and accessible to all. If you are in need of treatment or want to find out more information, you can call 1-888-728-2713 to talk to someone or schedule an appointment.
All right, we are back. This is the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo. And also in the green room, we just jumped him in the studio. We got an awesome tech team, all right? They almost know what we're doing, all right?
Brings back memories, that terminology.
Y'all brought me on before I knew I was on. I was looking.
Oh, yeah. You know we like to do that. You should have saw me earlier. Made sure I caught Jody just sitting down. You know, I like to make myself look good. That's all I got. That's all my only redeeming value. Hey, listen, we're back. We got Devon Fagan for about 20 more minutes. Julian, I want to jump right into it because we're going to have a segment regarding wellness and health. And I really want you to quarterback that, all right, to talk about how important it is to keep ourselves mentally fit, mentally well during this pandemic. Tossing it to Jody, this weekend we've had 4th of July celebrations. What were some of the things that you saw went well? What were some of the things that you saw could have gone better? And then I want to, if we can hear from Brother Devon, and then Julian chime in. But what were some of your thoughts?
Well, the 4th, as it's always been, is layers. You have your good stuff. I went to several dozen events that turned out awesome. Families had fun, people had fun. I had to perform a lot, lots of vendors did stuff. Even though this ain't my holiday, I still got to celebrate with family and friends regardless. I think a lot of people had that disconnect of, I'm not celebrating this because it's blah, blah, blah. I don't get much free time. If you want to put a holiday up, I'm going to use that holiday to the best of my advantage. I don't celebrate that because it was my anniversary of my art brand, which just turned 4, but it was some good things. And then we get to the second layer of explosions and shootings and people that just don't know how to be happy. I think that's ultimately, I've been seeing a lot of videos about it. I've been bouncing around trying to help people.
Right.
The incident on Barry, I'm very connected to because that's one of my food pantries and the person that set that up. We're going to table that till later. But I think it's a lot of people who the world has opened up because it's like the world opened up this weekend. Last year it was a soft opening, the pandemic and stuff like that. And this weekend it was like, give me these fireworks and blowing up your house. Right. I don't know. But I think it's a lot of people who don't, after a year and a half of staring at screens, you go outside, there's barely people there. And then there's so many others that say, hey, I got help this way. But then there were so many. I have a friend who works in the medical industry. She never got stimulus one, let alone all this other stuff that people got. And she's still working her job. So then there's the people that didn't get nothing. And now they see everybody out here buying stuff, having fun. So, okay, the rule of the streets is you keep what you kill. But I think it's time for that mentality to die. I enjoy the fact that I've lived long enough to be an OG.
All right.
And never got caught.
Okay. All right. Now,
but I know half of the stuff that's going on now, I wouldn't have crossed that line no matter what happened. Children, elderly people, firing at somebody you know you ain't gonna hit is different. And I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. We've got 10 more minutes our chairman. All right, the chairman here. Brother Devon, we're talking about the 4th. We're talking about some of the violence that we saw regarding the shootings and the firework explosions. What were your take on some of these events that you saw in your news feed over the weekend? What would you have to say about those things?
A lot of the stuff that's going on as far as shootings and things of that nature, I think breaks down in mental health. I think a lot of these people have mental health issues. Anybody who would just sit up and randomly shoot people has something really seriously going on in their mind that it's not normal. Whether it be a child, whether it be an adult, whoever, like that's just a part of the crisis that we're going through in America, where people don't have morals anymore. They don't have values, or care for life within itself. They see so much on this Grand Theft Auto and on these Chicago videos that they think these things are okay, and they normalize it, and it's not normal. These things aren't. It's almost like they're living a fairy tale until they wake up 30, 40 years from now in a cell, eating 2 hot dogs and some beans, and not understanding why they not free yet. You know what I mean? And they're probably more than likely realistically gonna die in there if they ever catch who did that. You know what I mean? And for what though? Like, I'm almost sure that whatever the case was, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? And again, you shot a 10-year-old, 51-year-old, 19, 17, you just randomly shooting people. I can understand. Okay, people have problems, gangs, whatever. All those people ain't do nothing to you, and you didn't have no problem with all those people. So why were they at risk? Why were they put in danger? Why were they shot? Again, that's something going on in the psyche that, we need to figure out within our youth. And I think parents need to be more active in their kids' lives and start taking some responsibility, because I've seen so many posts about the police, about the big homies, and about this person and that person, and none of the parents are saying, oh, it's my fault, my child was out there at 12 o'clock at night, 11:45, whatever at night. Because when I was a kid, if the street lights caught us, we had something coming, and they don't got nowadays. You know what I mean? They can just be out doing what I seen some kids the other night that we were this is on the 4th, matter of fact. These kids couldn't have been, the oldest probably maybe was 13, 14. They in the park letting off fireworks. It's about 8 or 9 of them. Where y'all parents at though?
Yeah.
Like, y'all out here at 11 o'clock at night letting off fireworks. And it's no home training. There's no love in the home. And a lot of these kids are coming from single parent homes. It's just sad. It's just tragic. And as for the U-Haul thing, I mean, again, you got to be nuts to even. Some things I just never understand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think that's indicative of the time that we live in, and that's why Hoodstop 2021 is so important, because there's going to be a young person that see what you do. And I've taught prevention for 20 years. And we would always say that children are actors, and they tend to act out what they see in us as adults. And if my children see irresponsibility in me as an adult, it's going to be difficult for them to be responsible young men and women. And at one point, absolutely, we definitely have to look inward. We're our own worst enemy, take a personal responsibility. And self-improvement can be the foundation for improvement of our communities. And it has to start with us. I'm thankful that we have Hoodstop 2021.
To touch on what you said, like, again, they act out what they see. And the parents, again, they at work all day. Then the kids is at school. Then, like he said, you got all this money floating around, people taking trips, they're gone, their kids are here. Okay, you can stay at home. I'm going to Miami. And who's raising them? The TV, the things that they see in violence and sexuality and all this stuff is all you see on TV. So again, they start to emulate these, like I said, YouTube videos and all the stuff that are starting to be normalized. So they're just reenacting things that they've seen. And the parents aren't there. That's why I keep my son with me so close. If I can take him to a meeting, I will. I want him to see how I interact with people. That's why he's so polite and well spoken at 3 years old, because I train him and I get him to understand that you have to be this type of person. You see what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying? I don't let him watch anything on TV other than something educational. You're not watching nothing in my house other than something educational. And that's how we need to instill and again train so they act accordingly and not let YouTube and cell phones and the internet raise our children.
All right, Devon, thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring in Julian to this conversation. I know you have to go, but before
I still got a few more minutes.
That's all right. You try to get more.
I'll try to do a skillful exit. All right, it's all good.
That's cool. I mean, I want to hear what my man's got to say though.
All right, Julian. First, how you feeling? Who are you? What do you have on? All right, and why are you a part of this movement? And then, if you don't mind, if you could share your thoughts about what's happened over the 4th, and what are some of the things that we did well? What are some of the things that we can do better? It's on you, Julian.
There we go. No, I'm proud of my background. My name is Julian Mack, preferred gender pronouns, he, him. I'm wearing a black fist and a shirt that says Thinkers. And it's got several powerful black men. Martin Luther King representing peace, Obama representing power, Malcolm X representing respect, Nelson Mandela representing dignity, and Bob Marley representing love. And I do believe love is the most revolutionary of all things that we can do in these streets, period. As far as I got a lot to say. This is Minority Mental Health Month, the month of July. And I mean, where do I start? There were over 19 million guns purchased last year during the pandemic. 19 million new firearms, the most amount of firearms ever purchased in the history of the United States. To think that's, I'm just gonna let y'all sit on that for a minute. To think that I mean, we're seeing the effects of those, right? When there's I'm not, anti-gun. People do with your strap what you want to do, but to think that there aren't going to be some byproduct effects of that on a massive scale, I think is just a bit naive. We're dealing with, there are mental health issues that arose from being in solitude, from being isolated. I'll even say myself, it took me a minute to get used to being around people, to feeling folks' energy again, right? And to understand, what that means, how to respond. Right? I had a guy today, was like, "Don't you nod at me? Don't you nod at me? I know who you are. Don't you nod at?" And I think it was a mental health issue. I just let it slide. But like, had I been in a different headspace, you know what I mean? I might have been like, "Who you talking to?" You know what I mean? And it could have, I can see hurt people, and it's heal people. And so I can see how there is a level of brokenness beyond just the Black community that exists that's causing a fracture in what behavior that's causing a fracture in and just thinking clearly, and so I think we're seeing a byproduct of that. Specifically, though, to our community, I mean, I think we have to keep in mind socioeconomic factors that exacerbate the conditions. All right, we're dealing with, we're still dealing with extreme poverty. We're still dealing with a lack of resources driven to mental wholeness. I'll put it that way. And I would even say that we have gaps within the mental health system, right? So say if somebody does get involved, say somebody realizes that they need mental health treatment, right? We have a problem with cultural competency within the field of mental health to begin with, right? There's I'll just say it. I'm just trying to figure out a polite way to say it. But like there's meetings that people go to where, my blackness is considered an outside issue, right? Where it's shunned upon to talk about racial trauma, and most I'd say mental. I'll just say most addiction on some level stems from trauma. Now, if we don't ever talk about it or create spaces for that, for healing, we perpetuate a system of hurt, right? And it's like you're going to do two things: build or destroy, right? And I think one of the things that I'm starting to realize as I was reflecting on the incidents from this weekend is how necessary it is to build a place or a space where we can heal from trauma that is directly connected to racial harms, because there are so few places like that that exist. And to be honest, I wouldn't even know where some folks would start in regards to that. So that's just my 2 cents, kind of just to kick it off. But the issues we have are deep.
All right. Thank you, Julian. I got a question for Devon, and regarding Hillstop. It is Mental Health Awareness Month for minorities, that we take a look at our mental health, and we struggle with that because there's a lot of stigma attached to us as a people managing our mental wellness. And what are your thoughts on that, Devon, on managing our mental wellness, managing our mental health? And as a Black man, what do you do to stay balanced juggling all of the projects that you have?
As far as the mental health piece, I think it's at some point everybody's eyes need to be open, because believe it or not, I believe, this is just my personal belief. I believe that somewhere in each of us there's mental issues that we need to take care of, that we may need healing from, that we may not even understand that we have. When I went through a thing in my life where I became an alcoholic, I went broke. I didn't want to hustle. I didn't want to grind. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do anything. And I became a full-fledged alcoholic. Like, I'm getting up at 11, I'm drinking at 1, I'm passed out by 6, I'm back up at 9 or 10, trying to make it to the liquor store before they close. Like, I was messed up for a while, and I didn't really understand what was even going on with me. And it was things around me and things that was happening to people I cared about, and a lot of things that I felt like if I was there, this wouldn't have happened, or I could have made a difference in this situation, or I could have stopped this and I didn't. And it was taking its toll on me to the point where I didn't have a place to live. I was just all messed up. And I got on my knees And that was one of the few times in my life that I prayed for myself. Because usually when I pray for other people. I pray for my people and their well-being and things of that nature. I don't pray for myself. But I had a real conversation, and I opened up to my higher power about everything that was going on in my life. And just me speaking it out was my healing. And it helped me understand what I was really going through just by saying it. Because it was so much, it was like inside of me. I didn't talk to nobody. I'm because I'm, you know, if people know me, I'm more to myself to type. I don't interact well with just meeting people and stuff like that. Yeah, we can build a relationship. I can do that with anybody.
Right.
But it has to be some type of connection through something or someone to make us build. I'm just not a naturally friendly person who can just walk up to somebody and be friends with them, you know. But I think us as a people need to understand that it's okay to speak out. It's okay to be heard. It's okay to voice your problems. It's okay to voice what you got going on inside. Because until the point when I did that, I lost everything. My whole life was in shambles. And once I did that, I felt so much better. It was like just like that, like it was a natural healing, just speaking out the problems that I was going through. And I think more people need that. And I think that a lot of people in the Black community feel as though it make them soft, or it feel as though it make them this, or it feel as though it make them that. And like I said, I believe at some point in all of our lives, we got some type of mental health that we need. Because even if you heal them, if you're healed, you need to heal others. That's mental health. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right. That's right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, let me pass my healing on to you. You know what I mean? And some people that keep them whole, just helping heal others. And it's just, I mean, life is just, it's a deep thing. And like I say, I just try to like pass whatever knowledge I have or whatever my experiences and things I've been through to a lot of the youth and people that I deal with. It's a Benny Siegel stand where he said, I went through it so you wouldn't do it after me. And that's what I try to instill in these young brothers that I engage with. I try to take my life experiences, how it was for me being in prison, how it was for me sleeping on the streets, eating tuna fish and pork and beans out of a can, and not having nobody in the world to talk to. And I let these young brothers know that they can confide in me. They can trust me. It ain't a soul on this planet that ever told me anything that I've ever divulged to anybody. None of these kids, none of these situations. And it's been times where I had a young guy, like, you know, he just like, look, man, I don't want this gun no more. Can you buy it from me? All right. Okay. You know, and like, it's just, he didn't want to be that person that he was being led to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
But without having somebody there that he could talk to, then what? He still got the gun. You know what I mean?
Whew.
Life is deep. And like I say, like earlier, just giving $1, you never know how that could change somebody's life. I helped Gutter Dave with the I ain't gonna take up too much more time. I just want to tell y'all the story. I've helped Gutter Dave with.
Go ahead, you preaching, brother. You preaching.
So I helped Gutter Dave with Duncan for donations since his inception, right? And he always used to try to get me to, man, go with me, pass out the toys. Man, I ain't on that, man. I ain't trying to do all that, man. I'm cool on that. I don't want to do all that, man. 3 years straight, he pressed me. So I finally go one time, right? And we go to this guy's house or whatever. He was a war veteran, single father, custody of 3 kids, barely making it, bad back, messed up from, you know, the wars and all that stuff, can't work. But he doing the best to try to, you know, take care of his kids or whatnot. So we go to give him the toys. And you know those little army men, like the green ones, they don't do nothing. They just sit there like a statue. They cost $1 at the dollar store, like 12 or 16 of them. So we got this big old bag of stuff for these kids, right? The little boy had them at like 6 or 7 years old. So he takes that out. He opens it. He instantly get to playing with them. And he says, "Thank you, sir." Wow, and he's so happy, right? And I'm just looking like, man, if I gave my kids that, they would cuss me out. All the
Yeah.
kids know if I gave them that, they probably look at me like I was crazy. But this little boy had actually never had a Christmas gift in his life. That was the first thing he seen in that bag, and it made him the happiest person on the planet. That $1. That's why I say it don't matter what you give when you really, giving from the heart. It don't matter. Some people give from abundance. Some people give because they got it, because they got money stacked up to here and it's nothing. Some people do it for tax write-offs, and some people genuinely care. And some people say, "Here, I got these $3. That's all I got." You know what I mean? But that $3 can make a difference. You speaking to one of these kids can make a difference. I mean, it take a nation to build. We're gonna have to build each other. We're gonna have to help each other, and it's gonna take all of us. It ain't the Toledo Police Department. It ain't the city of Toledo. It ain't the funding. It ain't the money they got or none of that. It starts with us as a people. We say Black Lives Matter. We got to show each other that our lives matter within us before anybody else could think our lives matter. If we steady killing us and we steady taking us down, we hating on us and we trying to stop us from progressing and stop us from growing, then what is everybody else going to do? How can you ask somebody to say, "Oh, don't do this to us," when we're doing it to ourselves? It starts with us as a community as a whole, and that's why I try to bring people together with this event. When have you seen 3,000 people in one place with no acts of violence, no nothing, in the age range that I bring to the table? You haven't. But it's so much joy, it's so much fun when people is giving back and people are there to receive blessings and people are handing out blessings, and it's a good thing. How can you turn that into anything negative or bad? You know what I'm saying? It's up to the people, man, to come together as one and build each other up.
Man, we started this podcast.
Mic drop.
Yes, sir. We started this podcast knowing that we were going to talk about some political issues, knowing that we were going to talk about mental health and wellness, as well as some community issues. And I'm just so pleased to have 4 Black men on the podcast. We're taking responsibility and showing Black love and respect to each other like this. So original salute and revolutionary salute to all of you brothers that are taking in part this conversation regarding mental health. This is something that a lot of us as Black men have been socialized into thinking that it's not for us. That's what other people do. Well, you know what? When I have issues with my eyes, I went to Optigo. All right, so if Christian Moncrief is listening, I went to Optigo by Twix in Between and got my glasses because I can't see. You shouldn't be driving with me without my glasses, all right? Now, what happens when our perception is skewed? What happens when we start feeling feelings and even seeing things that we're really not seeing? It's okay to get a mental health checkup. It's okay to talk with someone. And just talking with someone doesn't mean that you're going to be medicated. However, whatever it takes for us to maintain and stabilize, we have an opportunity now to have this conversation online without any of us feeling like, man, that's weak, Julian getting help. What that look like? Well, the strongest people I know get help. And when I saw that they were putting on the Hoodstock brunch, there was more people there to make that happen than just Brother Devon. So it's difficult or nearly impossible to just be solely independent. You don't need any help and you got all the answers. I know a few people like that, and they're at Forest Cemetery because they weren't able to get help. So thank you, brothers. Is it time for a break?
We can take a break and come back because we still want to hear from Julian and then us too. Because Brother Washington has a habit of asking the questions but never answering them himself.
Look, that's because I'm old as dirt, Devon. That's because I'm old as dirt, and I really want to hear youthful solutions to age-old problems. That's why we're doing this right now. We just committed to doing things the way 60-year-olds and 65-year-olds do it. We wouldn't have made it. We wouldn't be doing hood stop. We'll be too afraid. Well, I don't think we should be doing that in our community. No, it's time for the Joshua generation. This is a fearless, intelligent generation that we've given birth to. And so that's why, look, I don't have to, all right, but I will. So, hey, look, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, deal with mental health in politics. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Devon.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all a great deal for having me on. I really thank y'all for y'all support, and the shout outs, everything. Like I really appreciate you guys. If you guys ever need me for anything in the future, anything my organization and my people can help you with, just name it. It's done. You know, as long as it's in righteousness, we're gonna make it happen. I don't care what it is. Like anything you guys need from me.
Can I just tell you, I appreciate your transparency and being so real, brother. Like, you know, your story is like so many others, but when we go through that stuff, we all think that we're going through these things by ourselves, not realizing that so many other people are going through these things, you know, or that.
Yeah, you can tear down the people around you too. You can be hurting them while you hurting yourself and you not even know it, because you taking the brunt of it. But my kids wasn't getting shoes and clothes and stuff like they were supposed to. I wasn't paying the bills at home. Me and my girl broke up. You know, a lot of stuff. It just, you know, you can hurt others too.
Thank you though so much, man. I mean, you inspired. You gave me like some new life just now, and I want to give you your flowers for that right now. You know what I mean? Immediately, because you know there's been times when I thought like, oh man, it's just me. You know what I mean? And there's so many of us that are going through similar things, but we don't ever share about it. And so it was so refreshing just to hear that from you, and I genuinely really appreciate that. And if you didn't help anybody else, no, you helped me today.
For sure. I appreciate that. Like I say, anything y'all need from me, man, y'all can always reach out. Y'all know how to get in contact with me. And if it's anything I can do to help any of y'all in anything that's righteous, or especially for these kids, just let me know.
Yes, sir.
And anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome to. Just let us know.
Most definitely. I appreciate the invitation.
All right. Hey, look, come on back. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Thank you, Brother Devon. If you got to go, thank you. Julian, if you got to go. No, he's staying. He's got to stay because we got work.
Yeah, I can come back and watch the rest of this, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I done heard you speak a couple times at different places and stuff. You know what I mean? I was in the crowd and stuff. So I you know, your views on stuff, they interest me. So I'm gonna come back and watch them. I appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, stay tuned. CSRN Video Minutes. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Dr. P. Not only am I a leadership coach, I'm a change agent and I'm a race scholar. I've used my study of race to dismantle systems and organizations, but I also use that to help you as the individual become a better leader for your families and for your community.
Almost. We are back. All right. We have.
I was ready that time.
Hey, yes, sir. We have one of the spokespersons. I was gonna say spokesman, but I didn't want you to check me on live feed again. We have one of the spokespeople for CSRN, our brother Julian Mack. For anybody that wants to help support us, you can support us through our Cash App, CSRN 419. We also have the crawler going down. Also, you can support us via PayPal, CSRN 419. We thank everyone for their support, for everything that they've given. Jody?
Well, also, if you cannot give a monetary donation, you are more than welcome to go to our website. Shout out to Ruth, our administrative lead, who does all the hard work and digital pushing to make sure that if you want to purchase something to have in your home, you can see our yard signs, our wristbands, our water bottles, our stickers, stuff that you can.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Stuff that you can physically have to show your appreciation. Again, like Devon said, it doesn't matter whether it's $1 or a donation of larger. Every bit matters because these lights ain't free, this podcast ain't free, and it just makes it run a lot smoother because it's going to get done. It's going to get done regardless, but that helps a lot, and I appreciate that. We all appreciate that.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Now, what we were talking about before the break was mental health and wellness. Julian, I want you to help our brother Omar Gent. That's online right now. We're going to put him on speaker. He's calling all the way from Colorado, all right, correctional institution. Brother Omar, are you here?
Yes, brother, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Hey, listen, brother, we want to thank you for joining our podcast. I'm going to try to position this speaker so that we can get the maximum of volume. All right. And all right, for Julian, what's our volume like?
Good.
All right, all right. Hey, brother Omar, we're on our podcast right now with our spokesperson, Julian Mack. We're talking about wellness. We're talking about increasing our self-esteem. We're talking about staying balanced. And brother Omar, you are in the belly of the beast. How do you manage, brother, to keep your self-esteem up? And also, if you can introduce yourself, because we got some new listeners today that have no idea who you are. So if you can introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do as a freedom fighter? And then lastly, how does your self-esteem stay high and your self-worth and self-concept stay balanced, doing what you're doing, where you're at? It's on you, Brother Omar.
All right. First of all, I can say God is great. Thank you for all the wonderful members of this team who produced this podcast. It's a very beautiful thing to just to come together with people like mine, and even those who just joining and trying to get on the same level that we're on, and elevate themselves, and we help to pull each other up. My name is Omar Gent. I was born May 6, 1984. My website, freeourbrothers.com, basically explains my legal plight. I'm fighting against mass incarceration in Colorado, making my case an example of what Colorado is doing is bypassing the grand jury system. I explain on my website, and removing people to prison, whether they be innocent or guilty or deserving of lesser punishment under this so-called criminal justice system and violating their own laws, the law of the land, and its gang conviction. To answer the brother's question, what I do as a freedom fighter is this. Sometimes I sum some things up. I get up every day and fight. Just continue to reach out to people, write letters, and prepare myself to get on this beautiful platform right here, which is very instrumental and powerful. How you feel about it?
Keep going.
I'm good.
Yep.
I have a question for you, brother. I have a question. I have a
Okay.
question for you, brother Omar. Um,
Okay.
I'm going to get explained into this a little bit later, but can you talk about how the opioid epidemic and the flood of fentanyl is having an impact in for incarcerated populations?
Most definitely, my brother. I think that ties into the self-esteem issue. I think maybe every prison, every state has a different struggle with different drugs. Maybe because of the environment around the prisons, whether it be, rural or whether it be like close to the cities or, what the main issue is. I think people are taking things, obviously, to numb down the lack of confidence they have in themselves because your manhood, so much of your masculinity is behind these walls.
Oh, we back?
Mine checked out in the early 90s. All right, but hey, that's neither here nor there.
I got a hat.
Right, right. So, I wanted to ask you about and thank you, Julian. That was an important question, and thank you for fielding that question, Brother Omar. And thank you for tying that in to how do we keep our self-worth and self-esteem high, and definitely drugs, any kind, if it's alcohol or whatever, is not the answer. All right. On your website, it says stop illegal imprisonment in Colorado. We've got that up on our screen right now. So everybody that's doing our podcast, they see that from the freeourbrothers.com website. What do you mean when you say stop illegal imprisonment in Colorado? And Brother Omar, why should we care? We're in Ohio.
Very good question, my brother. Let me explain what it means by stop illegal imprisonment. Like the website explains step by step. I'm not praising the grand jury system or saying it's the answer. What I'm saying is that it's a board of citizens called the grand attitude and mentality, it trickles down. Now they say, okay, if we can do this to prisoners, now we can do it to our own employees. So injustice anywhere, the threat to justice everywhere, most definitely.
All right. My last question, and thank you once again for joining us. Thank you for being with us. How can the people that are watching this podcast, whom some have never heard you before, if they wanted to reach you by Instagram and Twitter, how will they do that?
You can go to Instagram at Free Our Brothers. Email to where I can respond on PO Box. Then I have Free Our Brothers at gmail.com. That's the email. And I want to add something, brother, if I can. We were talking about self-care, self-esteem, and I really want to make an appeal, to my wonderful, black sisters, man. The reason why I want to do this because I have a fiance in my life that's the original woman of the earth, a beautiful black woman, and I've been walking with her. She's been walking with me for over 13 years through different trials and circumstances. And when we talk about self-esteem, I witnessed her go through a near fatal marriage. So, man, take my high school sweetheart. We split up after high school in separate ways, married her, and deliberately, almost took her off the face of this earth away from me. And I had to help build her self-esteem back up because so much of her self-esteem was wrapped up in being a wife, being so-called physically attractive, what she was obtaining as her educational status, and its various things of being, so-called desirable in different men's eyes that she hit the dating scene. And I want to make an appeal to my sisters to say that if you don't know your own self-worth for yourself, so when a marriage or job or status is taken away, you can't really find your own worth. And it's painful for me to witness that, but I give praises to Allah, the creator, for allowing me to take that as a teaching moment. As painful as it is, I'm still working through it and be able to relay this humble message to other women.
Well, thank you, brother. And trust me, your words are going to hit in the right place on our people. This movement is much more than picket signs. This movement is much more than the direct action and the street heat that we put down. We're going to continue doing that, but also it's about our own development. We say that self-development, self-improvement is the basis for community, development. And that's what this is about. It's about speaking truth to power. It's about giving us a voice. So thank you, brother, for being with us today. And as always, revolutionary salute and shields up, brother.
Same here, buddy. My brothers, my sisters, thank you all. And just remember to please self-care. Let's work on building our self-esteem. And I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts, and opinions. Those go a long way to help me keep going and help me to educate myself and look at things from different perspectives. So I need your energy out there. Thank you all for supporting me. And shields up.
Shields up. Thank you so much, brother.
All right, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Hey, that is our brother Omar Gent, calling all the way from Colorado. We want to thank our brother for being with us. We want to thank our brother for sharing with us regarding self-care, regarding self-esteem, regarding, the opiate epidemic, and doing all of that from within the belly of the beast. That relieves us of all the excuses. Why we can't stand up. And listen, I want to get into this. Then we want to take a short break and come back with I think 5 minutes of heat,
Yep.
because we're going to deal with Julian. We're going to deal with loose ends.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Before loose ends, I want to say, hey, Anika. I know Brother Washington over there pushing buttons, so hopefully the sound wasn't lost too long. But you know what was some amazing sound?
What's that?
This weekend with her sister.
What?
Yeah, she told me she let me know that last name Fields, Vatila, who was out there with Tony Terry. But yep, thank you for letting us know that the sound came back, and good to hear from you. Good to have you in the chat right now.
All right, awesome. Hey, listen, Julian, we just had a wonderful conversation with Brother Devon Fagan. We topped it off with Brother Omar Jent, calling all the way from Colorado, from the Colorado Institute for Corrections, and for whatever that means, all right? Hey, listen, Julian, we're talking about mental wellness. This is Minority Mental Health Month. What are some of your thoughts on this month, and what are your thoughts on your own journey? We only have, Jody said that we only have a few minutes, but what are your thoughts on your journey that you made really public, all right? So you put it out there. So what are your thoughts?
I have lots of thoughts, and thank you for giving me the platform to share this information. Frankly, it's no secret. I did keep my recovery relatively private. Is this thing working right?
Absolutely.
On my end. Okay, I'm gonna just keep talking.
Okay, it's just your body ain't moving with the sound, but we can hear you just fine.
Okay, all right, great. So yeah, as a byproduct of some of the visibility of the work that we do, my relapse after 23 months, consecutive months of 100, of sobriety, my relapse was made public. I was hospitalized for an overdose on fentanyl, and I have had time to think about this, to meditate on my experience, and not only that, to try to use my experience to benefit others. We are on the precipice of a very deadly chapter that can hit this Black community. And I really see my experience as trying to be, or at this point, I'm the canary in the coal mine, and I want to let as many people know this as possible. When it comes to opioids, it's been looked at, historically speaking, as a white addiction. But as with any epidemic, epidemics happen in phases and waves. And we're now entering the fourth wave of this opioid epidemic. The first wave of the opioid epidemic happened in the late 90s with the flood of prescription drugs due to big pharmaceutical companies lying about the medical side effects of these drugs. The second wave essentially happened when they took when the federal government regulated the supply of those opioids, and then people started to seek pain relief on the street, right? And we already know that there's disparities in the way that doctors evaluate Black pain. And so often in that third wave, right, many of those people did not look like us because initially we weren't prescribed nearly as many of the opioids that other communities had been. But as we're entering this fourth wave, there is an abundance of fentanyl, which is a hyper potent opioid that is now flooding the streets. Right, it's not just an issue that's happening in white America. As we enter this fourth wave, we already know when white America catches the cold, Black America catches the flu. And so I think we have not seen the full impact of what's about to happen with the opioid epidemic when it affects the Black community. Unfortunately, I think this will pale in comparison to we've yet to end the war on drugs. And we know the impact that the crack epidemic had on the Black community. But what we're seeing, to put it simply, is dealers, right, that are oftentimes trying to escape poverty themselves or trying to self-medicate their addiction themselves are using fentanyl to stretch their product and increase profits. We have not seen, like, there's been a huge delay in this affecting the Black community, but it's starting, this fourth wave is starting to really impact us. We have traditionally thought about the opioid epidemic as a white epidemic, but right now, and they don't typically don't delineate the numbers by race when it comes to overdoses. But there was a study done in the city of St. Louis this year. Black men were actually 4 times more likely than white men to suffer from an opioid overdose. Part of what brought this, I think, initially in the national spotlight is George Floyd, right? And there was a lot of talk by racists of trying to justify the treatment that was given to him, simply because of the fact that he had opioids and fentanyl in his system. But what we know is he very well may not have even known that.
Right.
There were times when I did not know that myself, and because it takes such a small amount of fentanyl for people to get high or for people to overdose, and it stretches this product so much, it's exacerbating the opioid epidemic in places of poverty, which we already know are places in the Black community. And so we're really on the front end of this. Now, with that being said, this has the potential to be very explosive because there's a lack of cultural competency. There's lots to talk about things like critical race theory and things like that. But we know there's a lack of cultural competency within our educational system. But then a byproduct of that is in jobs that require educational background. Oftentimes we end up with a lack of cultural competency in these professions. The mental health profession is not an exception. And so what we're seeing is, I think, unfortunately, and this is why I'm just trying to wake people up, because I don't think we have the infrastructure as it is currently set up to deal with the influx of Black bodies entering this opioid epidemic like never before. And so on this particular Minority Mental Health Month, I want to sound the alarm and let folks know what's happening.
All right. Now, before we break, there are going to be some events coming up that's going to highlight Minority Mental Health Month. Let us be abreast of that to make sure that we post on our page. Let's make sure that during this month that we, if you can, do a live regarding some of the stats. and that's my field of work. And everything that you're saying is right and exact, Julian. And it's morphing from an opiate epidemic to a fentanyl. And,
absolutely.
And now for our community, we're finding more and more fentanyl being pressed into the pills. So
or
people are
sprayed on things.
People are pressing their own pill now with fentanyl, and you might think you're getting one thing, but you're getting something else. And I tell some of the guys that I counsel and coach that the end is near when you can't trust your own drug dealer because you don't know what he's getting. So let's go ahead.
And let me just add real quick, man. This is the reality of the situation that we're living in. We have to get rid of the shame and the stigma surrounded around addiction and harm reduction. Right? I hear folks talk about every single able-bodied Black person should have a gun. Every single person should have at least one Narcan and be trained on how to use Narcan. This is something that must happen right away. I would be dead if it wasn't for Narcan. Okay, these type of accidents and accidental overdoses happen multiple times a day, right? More people over the past 2 years in America, over the past 2 years alone, have died from opioid overdoses than in the entire Vietnam War.
That's right.
And we have become so desensitized to death, partially due to the pandemic, partially due to just capitalism. And there's people trying to make money. But we've become so desensitized that, if we remember the protests from the Vietnam War and how we made sure those soldiers, people were fighting to make sure those soldiers' lives mattered. More people that died from overdoses in the past 2 years. 2 years. Since 2019. Than the Vietnam War, which was much longer than 2 years. So, when we talk about life mattering, we have to pull back the veil, eliminate the stigma when it comes to these issues, and practice harm reduction. Everybody should have Narcan. And so as we look at events coming up in the near future, there's going to be Narcan distribution available. Make sure you have some on you because it might be you, it might be your family. You never know when that will be needed.
All right. Hey, listen, we're going to come back with 5 minutes of heat. We might have some loose ends. So stay tuned. This is CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. We'll be right back.
If you can ride a bike without falling, then you're good to go. Bike Rides Matter. It's a community bike group. We get together for fun, fitness, and fellowship. We ride weekly. Right now, we got a Tuesday ride where we ride on the UT Trail. We do Saturday right here at Uptown Green. That's our glow roll Saturday night. It was something I was already doing with my daughter, just riding bikes, and we just decided it would be cool to add the community because we were just finding ways to make fun given the situation. Being that everything was closed down and options were limited, bike riding is one of those things you can do without any restrictions.
You get to make new friends and just interact with people, especially during COVID. You still have your mask on and stuff, but it's still good to see people.
It's a cool way to stay fit. We talk while we riding, we got music while we riding. I've met quite a few new friends and new people. I made some real cool connections throughout the city. Take advantage of the time you have. Take advantage of this pandemic. I know it's a lot of restrictions, but you can be creative and find new ways to have fun, one of which is this right here.
All right, we are back. CSRN Video Minutes. That's our brother Keith Cook, a local comedian, and he's going to have some comedy event regarding the pandemic. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. And he has Bike Rides Matter.
Yep.
Every Saturday, 8:30, all of us meet at Uptown Green. I ride with him. Got myself a nice little bike with all the lights on it. So come on out and join us. That's part of mental health.
Yep.
It's part of keeping yourself healthy. Look, we're about to get into 5 minutes of heat, and we kind of cut you off at the end, Julian. And we wanted to know, well, Jody wanted to know, was there anything that you think we left out before we get to 5 minutes of heat?
I just want to add that harm reduction is so important, right? Mm-hmm. Like when we take away the stigma, when we realize that broken people and hurt people are using, we have to just get honest about saving lives, right? Narcan and fentanyl test tube strips are in abundance and available, and there's no reason for no one not to have them. There's no reason when you think about it. And so if you don't know who can get them, reach out to me and I'll get them to you.
That's right.
Boom.
And I want we did a challenge. We did a challenge earlier regarding supporting Hood Stop, and I've got 2 Narcan kits in my trunk, and I challenge everybody that's watching this to embrace harm reduction. It's not an either or. It's not either you abstinent or you're not. There's millions of people in between that we need to care about too. All right. Having said that, who's doing the pledge? Are you doing the pledge, Julian?
If my internet connection holds up, sure.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right.
So, harkening back to a couple of things, shout out to Keith Cook again, because he was one of the first comedians 6 years ago when I first hosted my very first open mic. Him and Demetrius McMullen were some of the first comedians to ever grace my stage.
Oh, wow.
So, that's a big thing, especially now being in the entertainment industry for so long. Again, shameless plug, I am nominated for the five-year National Spoken Awards as a national storyteller. Mental health, speaking on that is my field. A lot of people ask me, hey, you write books? Is it about children? Do you do love stories? They see me, I'm a big burly cinnamon tone black bear man, and they're like, woo! So what
you got me over here. Woo! All right. Okay. And keep it moving.
This week I sold 3 series. I had separate events. Then the show. Shout out to Chuck. What up, Chuck? Saw him. Shout out to Prophet. Shout out Prophet. Cast Off, where I first actually kind of found my voice by being on the radio show. So go back to the days before the South Side shows, before all that stuff. I'm one of the original members,
oh, wow.
And that's what changed me to where I am now. Actually, I came for a meet and greet, and they asked me who I was, and it kind of influenced the poem Simple Man, because I said I'm just a guy, here. I didn't really know who they were, what entertainment, what the behind the scenes.
Okay.
Now I see the fifth wall, and I can't get these cameras out of my eyes.
But, that's right.
Again, people bought my book series. I have 4 books. 2 of them are series, and I forget sometimes, this being me, that I have to explain this to people, like, this is about domestic violence, suicide prevention, relationship trauma, opioid overdose. I only let one person live or come out kind of unscathed. Everybody else dies in those books, which is something for me as the author that actually gave them life and then had to take it away. It's weird. Shout out to everybody that did do something positive over this 4th of July weekend, however you celebrated. It's again, a chance to come together with family. The people who did the most heinous thing, not just on Detroit and Lawrence, but around the country, because yes, there were shootings all over the country, as what happens a lot on the 4th. Get some help to the people who, what the news, I'm not sure, I've been back and forth to Detroit this morning before the meeting, did that act on Berry Street, because we have the video. Chris, love you. Whoever threw those M80s into that U-Haul, which the news may or may not have now, but I run so many boards, do so much stuff. I know what happens even if I'm not there. Y'all wrong. And justice and karma will come to you. So 5 minutes of heat, and shout out to Anika, because I see you still typing.
Man.
Still typing. Thank you so much, Queen. We appreciate it.
That's
all
right.
of your words, all of your everything. I'm looking forward to that thing, that's on paper. It might be in bookstores soon.
What?
All of that stuff from
Okay,
you.
I didn't know that.
But
All right.
Mike, shout out to Mike. You gave us a scare for a while too. Again, stuff is difficult. He took a 2.5 month hiatus, but he's back. He's trying to stay active, and he's letting us know again. This is stuff that's difficult for me. Hey, I'm gonna make it short before going into this piece. And again, thank you to all our listeners, our viewers. I know the shows are getting longer, but as you see, we have more content going on. So if you want to come on and get an interview, if you want your commercial played through one of our segments, reach out to us. We're people. We're not organizations looking for some sponsorship or some photo op just to look good and then drop you once you serve your purpose.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you told me that. I need to write that down. All right.
But again, how I deal with my mental health and everything like that, I'm an author. I'm an artist. The most tortured and tragic people's lives are what I do for a living. But no matter how bad my day gets, I know, because I met somebody or gave somebody a book or showed up to this show, that image that I leave at home behind my doors is something that makes me come out my doors and help people and encourage people. I have people come up to me every year. Remember that show 7 years ago where you said that one thing? And I can just smile. I have no idea who they are, but I'm still going to smile because you and that keeping me alive saves me.
Great.
And the better version of me.
All right.
So, this piece I did not think I would be saying so soon, because the last time I had to repeat it, I try not to repeat the same pieces, at least within a 3-6 month or year span. Brianna was here, and our lovely intern, but 20 to Life, which speaks directly to the incident that happened on Detroit and Lawrence and in Chicago and all the neighborhoods where people want to be part of gangs, but don't know that the gangs were created to help our communities. OG, not to shoot up our communities. It got twisted somewhere along the way. The Black Panther Party was created to help our communities, and they still use those things like the free lunch, the vaccines, all of that we developed to save our community after they bombed it. But anyway, 20 to Life. Let's begin. Peace. The block don't need you. Trap houses will go on just in a different form, co-sponsored by the pharmacy, government, and majority of those that gave up on you, all to keep our children blind to their true knowledge and crowns that we are all destined to drown if we don't feed our leaders now. That blood you spilt, stripes you earned, plug y'all robbed, and multiple women you burned just to hang them like trophies while your seeds continue the only cycle they've ever learned. That won't mean when your family is selling dinners and begging strangers to bury you, all because your boy, boo, babe, plug, closest friend, and baby mama just robbed you while you flatline in a street or a hospital bed with no one around you. fall into that trap. The block don't love you. The block only wants every ounce of blood from you. Every generation you birth to grow up in poverty with you. To stack with no growth, spread disease with no hope. Preach but not teach, eat but not feed. While we kill our kings and queens of a land we do not own. The block needs you to never have a voice, but to feed the statistics that we all belong in cages and chains, surrounded by walls, for society to throw down its used tissue. We miss you, teddy bear pole pictures. Free my boo, saying that's not our issue. And here's our proof. In peace. Stop killing us. All of us. All right.
All right. All right. And as customary, we snap our fingers. All right.
Messed up a couple lines there, but that's okay.
Man, it's a powerful piece that needs to be read. We need to be fed. And I think that's what happened.
Tears of the Wounded, Volume 2, Chapter 7. You can pick it up right there. I'm very bad at that. I don't see my words as history as they are, but if you ask me, Chapter 2, or Chapter 7, Tears of the Wounded, Volume 2, 20 to Life. That's that piece.
All right. And hey, where can they find your book?
Tears of the Wounded. They can find my books directly at me. If you want an autographed copy, you can go on Amazon. They are a couple bucks cheaper, but again, you don't have my hand copy. Amazon, you can get the paperback of Volume 1 and Volume 2 if you have Kindle or the Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Volume 1 is free. That's the domestic violence book, stuff like that. You can go to your public library system and request the book, Volume 1 and 2, the hardcover as well. The hardcover you can find at Barnes and Nobles. You can call them up, be like, hey, it ain't in my store. I need Tears of the Wounded, My Words Only, in this store right now.
We need to call some stores. Hey. All right, hey, all right, that's just a thought, all right? Just a thought.
Hey, thoughts and ideas change the world.
That's right. And we want to get into our solidarity pledge. Every week and really every day, we try to live this pledge to make us better for our community, for our family, and for ourselves. And hey, I got you here today. And don't forget, we've got our signs. Support us via Cash App, via PayPal. Repeat after me. I, your name,
Jody,
pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To love my brothers and my sisters.
To love my brothers and my sisters.
As I love myself.
As I love myself.
I,
your
name,
Jay Summers,
pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To study.
To study.
To improve myself.
To improve myself.
Spiritually.
Spiritually.
Mentally.
Mentally.
Morally.
Morally.
And physically.
And physically.
For the benefit of myself.
For the benefit of myself.
My family.
My family.
And my people.
And my people.
I, your name,
child of the system,
pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To be a part of the solution.
To be a part of the solution.
The process.
The process.
And not the problem.
And not the problem.
I, your name,
spoken truth,
pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To give all that I can spare.
To give all that I can spare.
Of my time.
Of my time.
My strength.
My strength.
And energy.
And energy.
To achieve.
To achieve.
The above said.
The above said.
So listen, give yourselves a hand, give yourselves a hug. And remember, we can get help. It is for you as a man, as a black woman, as a soul in the community. It is okay to get help.
Yes. So do not be afraid of it. Do not be afraid to talk to somebody. If you don't talk to somebody, you won't get the answer that you need to live. Right. Shout out to everybody, our special guest from Hoodstock, Von Fang. Shout out to Julian. I don't know where he went, but you know what? He's going to do something good for himself.
Either that or eating all the snacks in the green room.
Yeah, you know, the green room snacks be having them. Shout out to all the people in the comments today. Mike, Anika, hold on.
All right.
Everybody that showed up, made comments, made suggestions. Shout out to our call-in from Colorado.
What?
Major Lane. I don't know who that is, but you shared our post, so much love to you. All facts is what you wrote.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
And as always, all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And Black lives can't matter until all Black lives matter. Justice or else, peace.
Yay.